Folks, welcome to the finale of the BRL F2 Championship. I am Sathik and alongside me, Dalvin. We are your hosts for Bwoah Racing League as a whole. And Dalvin, what's been up? What have I missed considering I wasn't here for the last race?
Nothing much. Just an amazing race that we had last week, and as always, the championship I think is getting ever so slightly tighter at the end, and KDB is having its issues. NB had his issues as well in the race, so nobody actually got a very clean run at the championship. So mathematically, I think everyone is still with in with the chance to win. You get 58 points. I'm assuming with 2 wins, a fastest lap, and also polling quali. So that's probably 58. So mathematically, still possible. But KDP with a comfortable lead in the championship, I think he has this in the back halfway done.
Around 17 points is the number, I believe, the magic number. But yeah, Envy needs to do everything he can to make sure KDB doesn't manage to get the fastest lap, doesn't manage to get ahead of him on either of the races, be it feature or the sprint. But guess what, Davin? A little story for you about KDB. Bwoah Racing League Season 3. KDB was in a realistic performance Williams and he wins in Baku. Bwoah Racing League Season 4.
Wow.
He's in equal performance and he wins in Baku yet again. So, I think that sets precedence quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does. It's looking very good for him. I think it's just I think he has it in the bag. I think coming into a track which is probably good at, it definitely helps in your confidence coming into the championship finale. And I can feel him. I think if it's a track that you are comfortable in and you can control everything, even if you're at the back, you might be pacing yourself towards the end of the race. But if it's a track that you don't like at all, like I don't like Kota,
Okay.
I hate that track with a passion. But so in that track, ideally I don't want to be racing. So yeah, I think KDB is definitely having this at the back of his mind to keep it clean, and he knows he has the pace advantage or maybe even the psychological advantage into this race.
Yeah, and we're into one-shot qualifying already, but guess what? Into Sector 1, he kind of messed up there, and that's going to cost him on the time, on the board in fact, which gives Envy the advantage he needed coming into this race. Looks like we might have just lost Dalvin for a bit. Soon enough, we'll have him back on. But yeah, things are looking up for the likes of Envy. Let's quickly switch back to him. Let's stay on board with Envy. For those of you joining in right now, watching the Bwoah Racing League F2 Championship, thank you so much. We're on quite the battle in our hands. We have quite the battle in our hands. It's between KDB and Envy mainly, but we got Big Man Joe lurking about in the middle as well. Envy's on quite the lap as he enters Sector 3. He'll be exiting it. The main straight, the brilliant main straight. We'll see quite the moves done. I can recall so many from the F1 League, of course. But yeah, it's all about the time on the board, and Envy will cross the finish line. Can he set it? Fastest lap. He gets it 1 minute 50.292. Big Man Joe came close, but not close enough. 1 minute 51.951. It's Envy on pole position for the feature race.
And yes, Sartak, I am back. I had my mic disconnected for a moment, and it's all back online now.
No worries.
It's just the issue with, as always, too many USB plugs, and something tends to go wrong.
Of course. But yeah, KDB, he had quite the mishap in Sector 1, and that clearly cost him that pole position. He'll be starting on the second row. So not only does he has to probably close the gap going into the next couple of laps at the start itself to Envy, he's got Big Man Joe in the middle to worry about.
Do you want to really start on the pole position though here? Because it's a long pit straight, and someone easily could just hang in behind, get a move on you at any time that they want. I'm guessing, it might be a blessing in disguise for KDB since he's in third position. So he might be right on the attack on Big Man Joe and Envy, provided they don't pull away.
Yeah, and think about it, right? Turn 1 incidents, question mark, will be you might just avoid quite a bit if you're possibly in the in the front. Maybe Envy's gonna get away with it. Maybe he's gonna be involved in some. Maybe we'll have a completely clean race. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough as we head on to the feature race. And
Indeed, as we always say, nothing is impossible. Or that's at least what Master Uguay said from Kung Fu Panda. So nothing is impossible, as we have seen in the previous race in the USA Grand Prix, Bwoah Racing League Round 4. It was a full wet race in the feature race, and things were spiced up. And looks like the weather is pretty clear for the feature race today. That's a big blessing for the drivers, and a bit less of a management to go into the race.
yeah, and now I'm thinking, okay, all right, feature race. Let's say going into turn one, everyone keeps it clean, whatnot. We might just see quite the race result as well. The likes of Envy and KDB finishing 1-2, I'd like to say. But what kind of prediction would you drop in the last 5 seconds, Dalvin?
KDB for the win.
Okay,
Let's go.
all right. He's
A big
picked
one
his
today.
side. He's picked his side. Envy will listen to this later after the race is finished, and I'm pretty sure he'll have some nice words to tell you, Dalvin. But no matter,
Yeah.
formation lap begins. And let's talk about the track itself. Azerbaijan, Dalvin, I know you don't have fond memories of you driving there, but I guess give us some positives which you remember maybe.
Well, first off, it's not really a wheel-friendly track, as a lot of people in the
Okay.
community has agreed on. So a lot of traction zones which favors the pad, and you know who's on pad? Our leader today. So Envy's on the pad, so this might be slight advantage for him as well. I didn't really have the best of times in Baku, but I still won my race last season thanks to some late safety cars and just slipstreaming from third position to first on the
okay.
last lap, and yeah, that happened. So then again, yeah, I don't really remember much in Baku except crashing in turn 8, doing a stupid moment there like Charles Leclerc did.
Ah, okay. Of course. Soon enough, hopefully we don't get to see, in fact, one of these drivers make that mistake in the castle section. And I think your mic has been disconnected yet again, Dalvin. So hope you can rectify that out quick enough.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'm back.
15 laps of the feature race will begin soon enough. Envy looks like he's zipping through the streets of Baku just to ensure he's on the grid spot sooner than everyone else, although I don't think that would be helpful for the guy.
Yep, you don't want to be staying on the grid too long. Tires will start to cool down, even if that's not a thing in the game. But you definitely want to be as late as possible. Perhaps Envy just going that bit faster to get some extra temperature in to get a good getaway. And it looks like he's really pulled the gap. In real life though, I guess there would be a penalty for the drivers behind for not staying within 10 car length of the car ahead. But there's no such thing in the race, in the online races, thankfully.
Great for that. Envy's already lining up on his grid spot. That pole position grid box. Gotta love it. Big Man Joe approaching soon enough. KDB. Gamblers out there. Kudos to him. He's fourth fastest, something we failed to mention. It was great. It's great seeing him up there. We don't get to see him there too often. We see him probably trying to scrape off for points. But clearly him being ahead of UK, he can be confident of doing pretty darn well going into season 5, some would say. But yeah, the likes of Advik Reddy, Dark Legacy as well in the mix. Cuba Abi, however, kind of in a dodgy spot, position. You might just get caught off with quite the incidents. But yeah, let's not predict anything in front of with the front of disasters. Go ahead, Dalvin.
Right, 5 lights. And away we go. And lap 1 begins. Nobody gets an incident. Into turn 1 though. Envy gets the poor start. KDB gets a jump on him. KDB into the lead now. And this is exactly like he likes. And though within his gearbox, just within 2 tenths and into the slipstream, pulls alongside onto the outside. KDB defends the inside into turn 3. What's gonna happen? Side by side. And KDB hits the wall. Big man Joe as well hitting the wall, and it's a poor first lap from KDB.
Yeah, but the battle continues in the midfield. However, smoke on the gearbox of UK. Meanwhile, Dark Legacy trails right behind them in a fantastic turn of events. Envy's leading this race right ahead of Advik Reddy, and the likes of KDB trying to close in as much as possible, as there's an incident in the back of the pack as well. I think that was between someone and Avi, but it's real close for comfort.
Into turn 8, and he backs out of it. Smart move by KDB. You don't want to be going side by side into the castle. Advik Reddy on the mediums though, so KDB right on his gearbox straight away, and gets a better traction out of the castle section. Side by side into the downhill. Flat out. You can't go flat out here, mate.
Or can he? Because he's just got that right foot on. It could cost him here in this corner, but he just backs off just in time. Advik Reddy gets a little bit of pace that he needs, and he just takes off. But he's not too far off. Right behind, UK is going wheel to wheel with the likes of Gambler, fighting for that P4 position. Gambler's not ready to give that up. He worked hard for that one in one shot quali, and he's trying to get back. But UK is the better driver in that part of the track, and he's ahead.
We just saw some front wing flying. Sorry to cut you off, but I think Advik Reddy has hit the wall on the back straight, and looks like he's losing touch. Or is it KDB that's having some damage here? We gotta see in a few laps.
Yeah, I got the front view cam, and Advik Reddy's lost an end plate, so it's clearly him. KDB steers away. Dark Legacy is up in a P3 by the looks of it, but it doesn't say so. But it doesn't look like it. Clearly, the game's playing tricks on us yet again, Dalvin.
Indeed, yes. And all the while KDB and Advik Reddy were battling, being held up behind Advik Reddy, Envy has pulled out about a 4 to 5 second gap over here, and KDB is probably looking to put his pace into the attack now to close up the gap once again.
And as the scoreboard glitches even more, not the scoreboard, of course, the board itself. Folks, don't get anything wrong. Envy's leading this race. He's got a huge gap to KDB as well, who's ahead of UK, likes of UK right behind his teammate, and Advik Reddy. Advik Reddy, surprisingly enough, hasn't pit yet, but Gambler's right on his gearbox. Well, soon he will be, and he'll be threatened for position in no time.
Yep, UK on the medium, so he will be looking to go on the alternate strategy here. He is keeping close to KDB, and as we say that, KDB hits the wall, and that's definitely some damage to his car. Yep. He will have to be boxing now.
Yeah, but right behind there's quite the battle brewing, as Gambler attempted a brilliant dive bomb but did end up cutting the corner, of course. Advik Reddy still somehow manages to hold on to that P4 position and will hold up Gambler. Dark Legacy is looking at this, and he's saying, well guys, keep it going. I'm gonna get both of y'all on the main straight, perhaps. As he comes alongside Gambler, there's contact as well. Advik Reddy trying his best to deny both these drivers slipstream, but he's lost it. There's contact. Disaster for both drivers.
It's a safety car. Safety car has been called out. KDB, his race has been saved, so he gets a chance to recover his position, recover his wing as well. He'll definitely be looking to box this lap.
Unfortunate for those two. To be really honest, it did seem like a bit of aggression went overboard there between Gambler and Dark Legacy, or maybe not. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but definitely an exchange of words will be made after the race itself. On lap 3, we got the safety car out, and yeah, Dalvin, KDB might just be still in it.
Yep. So Envy was running away with the lead early on. KDB now has a lifeline handed to him by the game, courtesy of his rivals on track, and probably some poor awareness going on at the back with the battles, and KDB just looking to nip it back. UK though, Advik Reddy, Gambler, those are the drivers on the mediums. They might not find this safety car so appealing right now because they don't have any other tires to go on other than making the stop. But saying that though, as we know from a previous race, making a pit stop under the safety car does not count as a mandatory pit stop. So this sort of is a checkmate for everyone, maybe even for KDB, because he can't box to fix his wing.
Yeah, but well, it bunches the pack up, so clearly KDB can hope for more. I'm pretty sure Envy might just not have that much of a lead going into the end of the safety car itself. I think he's a bit disappointed, but it is what it is. It's great to see that Dark Legacy and Gambler haven't retired. I think that crash almost seemed like it could have gone completely left field if they had gone a bit more aggressive. But yeah, it is what it is, and yeah, they're still in the race. Let's see how it turns out for the midfield, folks. The big man Joe, he's lost quite a bit of positions, and I think that was the fumble in the start, wasn't it? He's down.
KDB is boxing now. I'm pretty sure he wants to get rid of that broken wing, and he gets a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. That just adds up to his misery, but oh boy, it's going down south for him again. He's boxing onto the medium tires. He might be making another stop onto the mediums at the end of the race as well, or maybe even the softs, super softs, to complete the mandatory pit stop requirement. I don't know. This looks like an interesting strategy here from KDB.
Yeah, he's gonna come out in, well, looks like P7 as the rest of the drivers pit as well. Dark Legacy, Gambler and Smoke pit, but of course not counted as a mandatory pit stop like you mentioned, Alvin. UK finds himself in a rather unique position where his teammate is fighting for the Drivers' Championship. Of course, we don't have a Constructors' Championship in this short championship format. What do you reckon? You think UK is gonna give Envy a tough time, really make him push him, wear out those tires maybe, and prep him for KDB on the attack?
It definitely looks like that, Sarthak. Envy is on the super soft. UK on the mediums though, but at this point of time, I think the mediums are just about on the crossover period where they might just be equally fast or slightly faster than the super softs. So UK might be looking for an attack on Envy right away, and to help out his teammate for the championship as well. So UK, being a good driver himself, I think he's going to be a good team player today. It's going to be very crucial for them. And I think KDB would really appreciate every single help that he can get from the field, and especially his teammate today.
I'm sure he will. But yeah, surprisingly enough, safety car still out, even though there isn't any more debris on track, let alone a car just standing outside. My question is probably on lap number 5. We'll see the safety car go in, and racing will resume on lap 6.
Yep, usually the safety car stays out for a maximum of 3 laps, and once the field bunches up, the safety car goes in. So, well, we haven't got both of those situations. Cars are still bunching up, taking their time, and especially with Matt Marquez, who is pretty far away. He's right out of the castle section, so he's pretty left out. Either way, I think the safety car might be going in at the end of lap 5 or lap 6. And all the while, I think staying out might just help KDB with the mediums here.
We find out soon enough. For folks who are watching, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think is going to win this battle, Envy or KDB? And let's not forget, 2 points up for grabs for the fastest lap. So how much will that come into play going into the sprint race and at the end of the sprint race, where we'll find out who our BRL F2 champion is.
Yep, every point will matter from here till the end, and 4 points has been claimed by Envy with the pole in the quali. So only 54 left up for grabs at the moment, and still looks comfortable for KDB in P1 in the championship. However, you cannot be too complacent with the championship, especially going into the finale. Even if you're in the lead, you want to make sure you're getting into the best positions.
Yeah, for sure. Rather interesting to see Kuberabi in P6. I think he's gonna make it a bit tough for KDB to get through. He's quite the driver from what we've seen in the last couple of F2 races. But yeah, really in front of KDB, who's a real challenge. It's Cuba Rabi and Big Man Joe. Advik Reddy and Avi, how much of a fight they're gonna put up, we'll find out soon. And I'm still amazed by the fact that Advik Reddy is still up there in P3.
Yep, these mediums, as you said, although they show it's 4-lap old, but they have been running behind the safety car for almost 3 laps now, so pretty much they're as fresh as they can get. KDB though on slightly fresher tires, maybe with that edge and a bit of skill, let's put it that way, that he has, the mastery that he has on this track. He might just get the move on the guys ahead of him very quickly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gouts in the chat had mentioned, I believe, during the incident how awareness was zero between the drivers. I'm assuming here, of course. Oh, but there's been crashes on the safety car. What? Again? UK?
Advik Reddy getting involved in the incident.
Not something you want to see, right, Dalvin?
Definitely not. Not on the safety car at least. And that forces UK into the pits. And he picks up another 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. That's definitely not gonna help his teammate KDB for the championship fight in any way. We were expecting UK to mount the challenge on NB at the closing stage or even at the safety car restart, but it's the odds are getting stacked against them now, right?
Yeah, things are going completely left field, and now I'm starting to question whether the game's turned around on us yet again, considering the safety car on the 6th lap remains to be outside. Now, given that incident, how much longer will it stay out? Advik Reddy, he's lost his end plates, mind you. He remains outside, and I think Big Man Joe, okay, might have just been a mishap on my side. But yeah, Big Man Joe's still right there, close behind Advik Reddy, and likes the Avi, Cuber, as well as KDB to follow. Gambler, Dark Legacy and UK have unfortunately been caught off with incidents, costing them their positions quite a bit. They find themselves at the back of the pack. But yeah, Advik Reddy, it's a matter of time before he goes in to the pits as well. Unless he stays out and risks going another lap out under the safety car, let alone in full race pace.
Yep, and mind you, he is on the medium, so making the mandatory stop onto the super softs will be quite a painful one towards the end of his stint. He has to take the tires for about 7, 8 or 9 laps even. And it's not going to be a nice thing to stay on the tires for a very long time. And it seems that Advik Reddy has had a lag incident and he's dropped back to P3. Big Man Joe up into P2. So perhaps Big Man Joe can challenge Envy at the restart here.
Yeah, safety car in this lap as well. So yeah, it just might be his moment. Big Man Joe's, as Envy bunches them up. He's incredibly slow as he gets into sector 3 and onto the main straight. The restart's going to be quite the restart, ain't that right, Dalvin?
Yep, a mix of tires, mix of tire lives. Everything is, spiced up, and people are going side by side already even before the start. And we pulls away very quickly, and that catches Big Man Joe and Advik off guard. And we pulls out a 2-second lead already. And that's a really great start by him. I think he just spotted the gap and went for it.
Yeah,
side by side, Advik Reddy and Big Man Joe.
Yeah, you can see Advik Reddy struggling right on the main straight, right alongside Big Man Joe. I think there was a bit of contact, but Big Man Joe has his nose in front, or was it Advik Reddy? He goes wide. Big Man Joe still keeps it on somehow as Advik Reddy comes back on the track rather unsafely. Now he's threatened for position by the likes of Avi. Right behind him is Cuba and the likes of KDB himself.
Yep, and in all this traffic in front of him, I think he definitely wants to get a move from them very, very quickly. Might be spotting some gap over here.
Yeah. Oh, Avi loses his rear, loses quite the traction. He's side by side Cuba right now, and he's got KDB to worry about as well. Going in the next corner, he's sideways almost, but somehow keeps it together. He's P5, but for how long? Because it's KDB down the inside. Pretty standard in his books. He should be able to get that position and get that move done. Contact as well. Somehow makes sure the nose is ahead, and off he goes.
Yep. P5 in his bags now P4 and 3 up ahead.
Up ahead, Advik Reddy stays ahead of Cuber Abi And Dalvin, if you're saying something, we might have just lost your mic.
KDB, there he goes. Gets the 2-in-1 move on Advik Reddy and Avi. Both of them getting caught up in a spin, a tangle out of the corner, and KDB now is released into P3.
Yeah, meanwhile at the back, of course, Cuber Avi had an incident with Avi as well. I think most of the drivers from P4 all the way to P6 might just have lost all their end plates.
Yep, riding on board with Envy. He was very close to tapping his wing on the wall. Keeps it clean for now.
Let's stay on board. Avi Smokes trying to close in as well. UK is on a climb of his own as he's up in a P8 and closing in quick on Smoke.
Envy picks up a 5-second penalty into the pits. That might actually cost him at the end of the race. Now KDB is released into P1 where he likes it in front.
Yeah, but meanwhile the battle at the back just got worse for Smoke as he loses position trying to dive bomb one of the drivers as well. Unfortunate for him, he's down in a P8. UK up in a P5 and on a charge.
Yep, on the super softs, fastest tire on the track, fastest man on the track at the moment. He will be making up a lot of ground. He will need to manage the tires at the end as well.
Yeah, and the likes of Avi within half a second of Cuber as well as Advik Reddy. Now this is where the action is right now. Yes, KDB and Envy are battling it off, and of course each have a penalty. Envy is trying to climb through the pack as well, but Advik Reddy doing an impressive job, I must say, of holding up Cuber as well as Avi, who know that Advik doesn't have end plates. He is at a disadvantage, but dude, they don't have one each as well.
Yep, and penalty situation will be interesting towards the end. Just looking on with KDB, I think, given that he still has to make his mandatory pit stop here, he might have to serve his 5-second in the pits, but he'll be out on the super softs most likely. And
yeah, but the battle pursues, Dalvin. I must cut you off. They're going wheel to wheel in the midfield. Avi and Advik Reddy yet again. Cuber Avi stays ahead. He's gotten through the fumbles of the drivers here for position in P3. UK is closing in as well, and now Advik Reddy's got his hands tied. He pretty much can't do much. He comes along the main straight and he's gonna be a sitting duck right now.
Yep, UK getting held by these two up ahead. Smoke retires on track. It seems like he crashed on the left-right chicane coming into the back straight, and that's his race. And it's a safety car once again, and it puts another span in the works. And this race just gets more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think now we can expect the likes of Envy to be grateful about this, because KDB got a gift in the first safety car. Now it's probably Envy who's looking at this and smiling, because with a bunched up field, probably could be a bit more easier for Envy to make passes. Of course, on the other hand, you're gonna be vulnerable for incidents as well at the back of the pack. That's there. Let's not forget about that either.
Yep, and given that Envy has completed his mandatory stop here, he's looking great to go till the end on whichever tire he chooses to go on. If he wants to box and get rid of the 5 seconds, he's in the leading run to get it done. KDB though, I think it's starting to get stacked against him once again, and I guess the champion would love some challenge, and not the kind of challenge we expected, but a challenge nevertheless.
Indeed it is. Big Man Joe finds himself on a fresh set of mediums, which I believe he would have bit under safety car, if not right before the safety car even came out. So finds himself in probably not the best of positions, considering there's only the likes of 6 laps left. Fortunate for him. And yet again, Dalvin, if you're saying something we can't hear you, your mic has disconnected, I presume.
No, I'm not speaking just yet. Okay, it's all connected. Don't worry.
Great. Yeah, KDB leads this race on lap number 9 as he comes on to sector 3. Will begin lap number 10. UK is close behind, so maybe Envy, if he does close in on the pack and UK himself, UK might just play the team game now. He's in a position, quite the position as well.
Yep. It's all going back and forth with every driver here. I mean, our concern is the championship, but UK dives into the pits. So I'm assuming he's definitely going for a fresh set of super softs to take it till the end. And that just releases Envy, isn't it? Into the lead or P2.
Not something we saw coming, but it is what it is. 5 drivers pit, and Envy just like that will be behind his title rival.
Just as we speak, I'm looking up on Google for F2 pit stop rules just to make sure that we're getting this right. So let me just read it for a moment. If it's actually true that you cannot serve your mandatory pit stop under safety car. If someone in the chat could do that for us as well, that'd be really, really grateful. Otherwise, I think we're just making a fool of ourselves here in the comms box.
Yep. And folks in the chat are mentioning how they feel KDB is gonna be on top of this race. And I guess Dalvin agrees with you, as his prediction was that feature race, it's KDB's. But to think in 10 laps of the feature race, we've already got such an eventful race in our hands, and come the sprint, it's a matter of time, we'll find out.
Yep. And tire strategies, everything. And we is definitely looking like the favorite to win this again. KDB most likely would have to serve his mandatory pit stop. It's not looking great for him, isn't it, up front?
Yeah, definitely not looking great. 5 laps left, and bunch of the drivers find themselves in unique positions. And let me just quickly have the interval back on screen to ensure. The closest competitor to Envy and KDB is Big Man Joe, and he's of course the pack will bunch up, so perhaps if he can keep it at par with Envy and KDB at the restart, maybe we'll get to see Big Man Joe winning this. I mean, mind you, Big Man Joe doesn't have any penalties.
Oh yes, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, man. Yeah, Big Man Joe also on fresh mediums here. And he definitely wants to be keeping close to Envy, and within the time penalty period, of course, and that's 5 seconds. So I think in the end, Big Man Joe might just be doing enough to get the win, and every point that doesn't go to Envy is just going to help KDB in the sprint race as well later, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think KDB is probably going to evaluate a possible pit stop, and rightfully so, grab the fastest lap, get those 2 points which will be essential later on, I'm sure. Going into the sprint race itself, if he does pit and come out probably somewhere in P8, maybe he can set himself for a possible sprint race win,
Yep. Starting in front in the pits, in the sprint race, I think that's definitely an advantage. If Envy is gonna be starting P7 or P8 after the reverse, I think KDB would be happily taking that P1 in this starting from the sprint. That might just give him the advantage that he needs into the last race, and help him preserve the championship lead.
Might just to ensure we have the bestest stats going into the sprint race. Let's quickly look at where they stand right now on the board itself. On the drivers' standings of the BRL F2 Championship, we'll look at it right after the feature race, of course. Once the points are updated, we should be able to get that done. But for now, KDB leads this race, and we right behind, and the safety car might just go in the next lap. Big Man Joe close behind now, and he might just win this as long as he can keep it within 5 seconds of the driver in front of him.
Yep, and as we speak about it, confirmation from the game safety car in this lap. KDB will lead the restart, and it's already backing up the pack. Every extra lap that KDB does will definitely help him at the end once he serves his mandatory pit stop. And let's see if he can keep his lead, or we can somehow conjure up a miracle here. He's the Baku specialist after all, as we know, or is he? So 5 laps to go.
And there's been a collision at the back of the pack. Dark Legacy with Advik Reddy yet again. Unfortunate. But yeah, KDB bunching them up as he approaches the line itself. Should be all set for the restart. KDB sets himself up for it. And just like that should go. Yes, he will.
Waiting at the very end to not give any slipstream to Envy. I think that's a very, very smart play.
Yeah, and into turn one, let's hope everybody keeps it clean. It's one player of them all who wants to keep it clean the most, and it's Big Man Joe, but he's threatened for position by Cuba Abi, who's gotten the move done, and now Big Man Joe's losing traction as well. Up ahead, Envy's alongside KDB. This is what we came to see. KDB and Envy neck and neck for the championship, for track position on lap number 12. And who comes out on top? It's Envy right now, with KDB trying to line himself right next to him yet again.
I think we are in for a disappointment here. Neither of them might be looking for the win here. The Cuba Abi on the super soft up into P3 with both drivers in front of him with a 5-second penalty. I think he is definitely looking like the favorite to win this race. A new win in the league.
Yep, perhaps, but they're wheel to wheel, as we can see on the onboard of Cuba Abi. KDB trading places with Envy. He loses his rear as well, but he's going to end up losing position to Cuba Abi if he can't keep it on track. And he does somehow. KDB holds on to P2 for now. Envy is taken off up in front. Cuba Abi holds on to that P3 position. Big Man Joe's fallen down to P5. Avi's up at a P4. Now things are getting a lot different.
Yep, KDB though managed to recover half a second, almost 6/10 even with that half spin, and still within 7/10 of Envy here. So really showing his pace despite being on all the mediums here. And onto the back straight now. He will get the toe on the straight.
Cheeky Envy. Trying to stick to the wall as much as he can.
And he hits the wall, and that might be some damage to him. KDB gets a good run.
KDB alongside Envy. And David, if you're watching this, how much more are we going to see of this?
Oh my god. I think this is going to go till the last lap, back and forth between these two, and maybe even, Cuba might just join the fight, or he's just playing smart and staying back. Let this front two, this big two sort it out themselves.
Lap number 13. It'll be incredibly disappointing if the game ends up disqualifying KDB for not having that pit stop. Sector 1 lights up yellow. There's been an incident, and Advik Reddy is falling down to the back of the pack. Now I wonder if there's been quite the damage on Advik Reddy. Safety car's not out, neither has the yellow flag stayed out for long enough. Envy is still on the gearbox of KDB, and Cuba Abi waiting patiently.
Alright, I really hope that boxing under the safety car is considered a mandatory pit stop, unless it was a glitch that we had in one of the previous races, and it is known in the F1 game series to be a bit of a glitch. If you don't pit on, even if you have completed your mandatory pit stop, it wrongly disqualifies you. So I think actually KDB might actually be in the lead for real now, given that he served his pit stop under the safety car, which may count as a mandatory pit stop. As we know, it works in F1, probably works in F2 as well.
Oh, lockup. Huge lockup from KDB, and Envy is closer than ever, as you say what you say, Darwin. I mean, to think this is going lap on lap, not even race on race. We did expect feature race and sprint race to see these two neck and neck, fighting, but this is lap for lap, position for position, trade for trade, as you would like to call it if you were an FPS gamer. And Envy is closing in hard.
Yep. Envy though, I think he is lifting slightly. You can see on his throttle trace, he is sparingly attacking. He's not really going for the move. He knows the chance will come towards the next lap with DRS, and also onto the last lap. I think going into the last lap, you want to be the car in the second place so that you can get the slingshot with DRS and the toe to get past and win the race. So I think Envy is just playing the long game here. KDB might actually be looking for Envy to pass. He might even allow Envy to pass on the next straight here. So let's see. Mind games are already coming out. Envy is already playing his cards right now. Cuba though, sticking behind them within a within a second, 2 seconds of the leader. So he's right behind them, I think.
Yeah.
He's definitely looking for the P1. Avi in P2, effectively P2 at the end of the race. I think he's going to be happy to pick up that position as well.
Talk about going down to the wire. The championship fight will go on to the sprint race for sure, as we're on the penultimate lap. Cuber Abi in the position you'd love to be. He'd love to be as well. He's set for his first race win in the F2 Championship, let alone the Bwoah Racing League. With KDB and Envy, they're within a second of each other. And what's going to unravel on the last lap? Who knows? But we'll find out. Look how close they're going to the wall, Dalvin, on the different parts of the street circuit at Azerbaijan.
And KDB there looks like he was trying to pull away from Envy's DRS, but Envy just slightly behind on this lap. And as there's a yellow on the final sector,
KDB tries to deny slipstream as much as he can on the main straight to Envy. But that's not really working out in his favor. He does set the fastest lap, mind you. That's incredibly important in this scenario. 2 championship points the fastest lap counts for. And yeah, KDB and Envy will be gunning for it. We're on the last lap. Envy finds himself yet again on the gearbox of KDB, and as I say it, he loses his rear and the gap becomes that much more bigger. Going into the castle section, things are going to get tricky.
Right behind, Avi and the Cuber are trading positions, knowing that they are up for the win here. And UK as well, staying within 5 seconds of the leader. He's looking like probably going to be nicking that P3 of the leaders. KDB and is also close into the middle sector here.
How this is going to unravel at the finish line is going to be one to watch out for. Clearly enough, who's going to take that victory? Because clearly none of the 2 drivers who are fighting for position for the race lead will, considering 5-second penalty for each of them. Avi and Cuber Abi will be gunning to hope the other makes a mistake before they reach the finish line. KDB seems to have steered away quite a bit. This is the corner where they've been caught off guard before. There's contact this time around between the championship title contenders. But just like that, KDB will hold on to the race lead. They enter Sector 3 soon enough. KDB on track might just win this, but the real battle's here, isn't it? Avi and Cuber.
Yep. Well, it is the final stretch now. Envy 5/10 behind now will drop into the slipstream and DRS of KDB. He's closing in. He's closing in very close. He might just nick it on the finishing line. Envy wins by 0.02 of a second.
And that's only on track though, because Avi, he positioned himself brilliantly. That 5-second penalty cost Envy the win, and KDB a lot of points as well. Avi wins this race, Cuba gets P2, UK puts himself on the podium.
Indeed, and that's an interesting finish to the race. And Envy and KDB there, I think that 5-second penalty robbed them of the victory. KDB though, I think he did a very, very good job. Perhaps just a little bit more of a gap coming out of the last corner would have helped him at the end. But that proves it. The slipstream and DRS onto the back straight, onto the pit straight on the last lap is definitely a powerful tool to use in the race.
And rightfully so, Avi driver of the day as well. Quite the climb from the likes of Avi. I think he qualified P9, I believe. P8, P9, somewhere around there. Yeah, who knew? 2 safety cars will turn things around. I wonder who grabbed the fastest lap at the very end, considering...
It goes to UK with a 52.6.
Well, let's say there's no love lost there, I like to say, in the team itself of Carlin. But one thing's for sure, Envy was denied of it. KDB still leads the championship, I'd like to believe. I think Envy might have just closed a bit, considering the amount of points.
6 points, I think. He gains 2 here, plus 4 from the qualifying pole. UK grabbing the fastest lap, which basically steals 2 points away from Envy in a way you can say, and helps KDB in some sort of manner. I guess KDB would really appreciate that. And what's next? Sprint race. I
Sprint
think
race,
there's
here
more
we
drama
come.
on the way.
Yeah. Insane race finish, as Gaut says it in chat. It was, but unfortunate that neither of the drivers who were fighting for a position for the race lead was able to nab it, nab the race win itself. But yeah, counts for position, and just like that, we head into the sprint race. Guess who is on pole? Because it's definitely none of the drivers we kept talking about during the feature.
It is indeed gonna be the guy who we haven't spoke about. Perhaps we mentioned once or twice, but it is Matt Marquez on pole for the sprint race. What can he do from the front? Can he just keep it clean? Maybe bring home the car, get a position, maybe top 4, top 3, maybe. A podium is definitely on the horizon. Given that it's the end of the season, perhaps he wants to end it on a high note. Definitely, he wants a podium here.
Yeah, and to think he came into this race saying that this is going to be the race where I'm going to show the rest of the competitors what's what. I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to come out in front. So now he's got an opportunity to do that. He starts out on the front, and if he can have a clean enough race, he might just be able to come through on the podium at best. What do you think, Dalvin?
I don't know, man. After the feature race, everything is possible. Again, like Master Ubi says, nothing is impossible. And given that we've had such a photo finish at the end just now, and the incidents that took place in the 15 laps, I don't know. Everything is up for grabs today. Coming to the race now in the sprint race here. Tire strategies. What's the deal with that? Looks like everybody is on the mediums. Gambler alone is on the super softs, so he will be looking to make a stop. Perhaps 2 stints on the super softs, and perhaps pull off a Charles Leclerc in Bahrain.
Yeah,
With a pit
perhaps.
stop in the feature in the sprint race.
Yeah, they don't need a pit. None of the drivers need a pit. And I think for once, most of the drivers will be glad about it, considering how inconsistent this game has been on that front. We've seen it firsthand with the likes of Big Man Joe getting disqualified when he actually did end up pitting, but on the safety car. And at the same time, the previous race where KDB was in the position that he was in. And as you mentioned,
And,
maybe Gambler might just pull out his inner Charles Leclerc at Baku after all.
Charles Leclerc at Bahrain in Baku.
in
But
Baku.
we don't want a Charles Leclerc Baku moment, I guess.
Okay, I went down
Especially
the
in
wrong
the
path
challenge.
there. Yeah, Man Marquez has Gambler for company on the front row with the likes of Big Manjo and KDB on the second row. So, mind you, Mad Marquez Gambler don't find themselves in the front too often. They found themselves now, and this is their time to shine. But let's not forget the battle that exists. KDB, NV right there, Big Manjo staying ahead, making it a bit that much more difficult for the two drivers to compete, go up against each other. And yeah, let's put it this way: as long as KDB keeps it ahead, he wins the championship.
Yeah, I think he just needs to, even if he just ends up behind NB, just a position or two, that would be great. Given that he had about 20 plus points of gap into this race, so unless there's a DNF from NB, from KDB, then I think NB has like a very clear shot at winning the race and winning the championship even.
Yeah.
But let's not hope for a DNF from the leaders here. KDB definitely not the one to win it here.
To think.
Being master of Baku.
To think, Dalvin, Richu picked out of all the days to not show up today, where we could have just used his help for points, don't you think?
Yep, indeed. And well, Richu, if you're hearing this, make sure you're here for the next races in the next season. All right, we got a lot of drama.
Yeah, he's gotta be. I mean, after today's race, if anything, I'm pretty sure he's learned and he's gonna show up for every race in the Bwoah Racing League Season 5, which is set to start, folks. If you're new here, it's gonna start off in October, the first weekend of October, but all eyes on the things that matter for today. KDB and NV out on track. Baku and the 5 lights will go out soon enough. The formation laps wrapped up, they're ready and geared to go, but it's Man Marquez on pole and they shoot down the main straight as we watch them. Gamler might just have gotten the better start, I presume, but right behind, it's contact between the front two runners, unfortunate to see. KDB gets position ahead of UK, Avi has a spin at the back, but Gamler is going for that race lead instantly.
Yep, KDB in P3, UK right behind him. I think this is looking like a Carlin train over here. UK might just be helping KDB in this race even more by holding up NB into the race. And looks like UK is not really interested to dive it down into KDB's inside. Perhaps he's looking to be more of a wingman today. And KDB will really appreciate that. NB though, looking for avenues to get past UK right away. Stepping behind. It looks like civilized so far. No incidents, no crashes.
Yeah, unusual is Big Man Joe's gap. It says 1 lap and I'm pretty sure that's incorrect. I wonder what happened at the start for him. Lights came on late perhaps?
Yes, it is another known issue as well in the game, sadly. There might be some desync between the drivers where one driver gets to see the 5 laps go off much faster than the other, and we'll have to see at the end. Perhaps it's a glitch, perhaps it's just a driver reaction time. We'll see that at the end. And right now, I mean, turn 15, all clean. Everyone learned their lesson from the feature race, keeping it clean side by side. NV goes side by side with UK though.
Oh, collision!
By NV and a collision. Round he goes. NV as well drops positions into P7.
He was trying to defend and hold up NV as much as he could. Might have just cost him the race. UK is down at the back. And as long as my board still is glitching out, it does say Big Man Joe's got a gap of 1 lap. It makes zero sense to me.
Yep, but what's not glitching is the drivers on track. KDB takes the lead. And Dark Black Matt Marquez going for the attack once again on KDB, and both seem to be ghosting into each other. I think Matt Marquez is just letting KDB through here.
Other cars ghosted for you, Dalvin?
Yes, I am seeing some cars ghosted here, so there might be just some timing glitches, as always with this F1 games.
Of course, let's stay on board KDB and you can take the comms for a bit. Dalvin, I'm just gonna sort something out.
As we head into the second lap out of 11 laps in this sprint race, KDB, who started in P5, is now started in P4, is now up to P1 after a lap, and NB, who started right behind him, dropped a position and had an incident with KDB's teammate UK, and is now what looks like to be P5 on track. Once the timing sorts out itself, but out on track, you can definitely see KDB is having the lead. Matt Marquez right behind him, and a Gambler might have actually pulled off the move on Matt Marquez here.
Yeah,
Gambler with his tires here. I think he's getting some move on very quickly.
Yeah, considering Man Marquez and Gambler usually find themselves at the back of the pack fighting for position, they seem to have held up the pack quite a bit, and just like that, as they fight for position, Big Man Joe closes in on Matt Marquez and on the main straight, might just be able to get it done, but guess who's getting in the mix? It's Envy. He wants both their positions at one go, but he weaves to the right, Big Man Joe, 3 abreast into turn 1 perhaps. Envy stays ahead, he's got his nose ahead, there's contact as well, he gets spun around, Big Man Joe goes spinning, and thankfully Envy is ghosted as Avi goes through him. Not great.
Yep.
Not great at all.
3 wide moment, and the car behind, which was Abi, unfortunately catching onto the 3 wide cars that went into turn 1. Just, I don't think 4 can go into 1, barely even 3, and that's just adding up to KDB's advantage right now. Envy down into P8, and I think it's another victory coming in for KDB as long as he keeps it clean.
Yeah, but it's still early. I think from the feature race we can agree on that. Too early to say anything at all.
Too early to say.
Yeah. Lap number 3, folks. KDB leads this race, still leads the championship, and Envy finds himself at a disadvantage. He's on the gearbox of Advik Reddy. He attempted a double pass on the main straight, didn't quite go his way, and right now he's attempting to get that P7 off of Advik Reddy's table.
Yep, UK seems to have disconnected from the session, and his race is just not going any better, isn't it? But looking on with Envy, got a slight run on Advik Reddy. Advik Reddy scraping the wall, just keeping it within the track limits, I think, and just keeping off the walls.
And yes, somehow he makes sure he holds on to his P7 position. And guess who's there for company? It's Big Man Joe, who's on the tail of Envy. Yet again, they find themselves in a three-way battle, perhaps. But this time around, it's with a competitor who's probably a bit more conservative compared to Mad Marcus. They're on the gearbox of Advik Reddy.
Yep.
Big Man Joe closing in this time. The sides have been switched. The positions have been switched. 3 abreast into turn 1. And they get tapped along with Advik Reddy in the middle. Contact between all 3 cars. And Big Man Joe somehow stays ahead. No catastrophe yet, and into turn 1 they go. Advik Reddy still fighting for position. He's not backing off. You boys might just be fighting in the front, but now you're here at the back, and I'm gonna go wheel to wheel with you just like I would with anyone else.
Yep, and we now up into P7 though. Still in the same position. Big Man Joe though actually gained 2 out of this squabble between these 3 drivers, and it's looking like, you know, a thorn in the side for Envy here.
Yep, clearly he's being quite the best, but rightfully so. You're playing track position, you're racing for track position. After all, that is what racing's all about, and on lap number 4, KDB leads this race comfortably, I must say.
Indeed, a 3-second gap to Gambler, and ever so slightly increasing every lap. 9 seconds to Avi in P3, so you know, considering Gambler has to box, that's definitely a comfortable lead that he has. Big Man Joe, after making the double move on Envy and Advik Reddy, now finds himself in P6 within DRS of Dark Legacy, and closing up to the train of the drivers all the way up to P2 over here. So it's not all over yet. Envy, Big Man Joe, they're still eyeing for that coveted P2 to salvage something in the championship. Remember, it's not just for the P1 in the championship, but for pride as well. Everyone else wants to improve their position here.
Yeah, and Davin, last time around it was Advik Reddy. This time around is a Dark Legacy as Big Man Joe and Envy close in on him together yet again. But this time around, I think Envy has the jump on Big Man Joe. He's gotten the slipstream he needs. They go wheel to wheel. Big Man Joe pushes him to the wall as much as he can, gives him enough space, respects him, gives him the respect he deserves, but he's not gonna let him off easy. They're still wheel to wheel, side by side into sector 1. They continue wheel to wheel as close as it gets to the wall, but Envy still keeping it ahead somehow. Big Man Joe tucks in right behind, and he's got quicker as well with the slipstream advantage and the DRS, and just like that he'll have to back off because that would have been too risky there. Envy will steer away, but for how much longer?
Yep, and just up ahead a few moments ago, Gambler is dropping positions. The Cuba Abi now gets past Gambler. Gambler now on the super softs, 4 laps old. I think he's starting to regret the decision to start on these tires. And the Cuba now up into P3, chasing Abi, who has a clear 2 to 3 second advantage at the moment.
What race, what a better race this is turning out to be, and to think we would have seen this on the sorry about that. To think we would have seen this on the streets of Baku is what I wanted to say.
Yep, and once again, Cuba Abi, although he got away, got the overtake done, Gambler is still right on his gearbox though. But for how long, I think Gambler would definitely need to dive into the pits very, very soon. Can't be taking this tires till the end, can he?
Yeah, would definitely prove to be a risky move at that, but yeah, the battle for position continues. Dark Legacy this time around finds himself in a position much like Big Man Joe. Mind you, there have been contact last time around, 3 abreast last time, 4 maybe. This time Big Man Joe's coming for it as well. Going into turn 1, who's gonna come out on top? Envy somehow gets ahead of Dark Legacy. Cuber Abhi goes wide. He's lost a bit of time as well. Gambler finds himself still ahead of Big Man Joe. Not something you'd expect, but Big Man Joe.
Big Man Joe misses the breaking point and goes down the other.
Unfortunate. Incredibly unfortunate for him. He's going to lose quite a bit of time, and probably we're not going to see him running wheel to wheel with any of the competitors anytime soon. Cuber finds himself threatened for position by the likes of Envy all of a sudden.
Yep, and as we know, the Cuber, Abi and Envy are teammates, so perhaps some team orders might come just in play for championships. It looks like it might just happen. Yep, and the Cuber Abi just lets Envy through. What a team play there, and Envy now gets a clear shot into to challenge for P2, and I think P1 might be just a little bit too far for the moment.
Sector 1 and 2 lights up yellow. Which car is that? Is that Mad Marquez?
Mad Marquez indeed, at the end of Sector 1 into the chicane, locks up and is dropping down ever so slightly.
Unfortunate for him, but it's Envy who's on the climb yet again. He would have wanted to lead this race and put KDB in a position relatively similar to his own. But yeah, clearly didn't happen. And right now, it seems like the championship is a bit too far off. Or am I 5 laps too early for saying that?
Might be 5 laps too early or 5 laps, late enough. But it looks like the lead that KDB has pulled out of almost 12 seconds to Envy here might just be enough with 4 laps to go. And Envy, after being led through by his teammate, now is starting to pull away, and rightfully so. I think Cuba has done his part to help his teammate in the championship.
Yeah, props to Cuba for doing what he did, and yeah, real unfortunate to think that in the feature race he missed out on the win. At the very last lap, how he was able to get ahead that much more, and as the gaps extend more than a second throughout the grid between each driver, we will see KDB enter Sector 2. Now, probably this is a good time to recall what went down in the short championship itself.
Joe into the Sector 2 chicane. At the end of Sector 1, Big Man Joe loses the position to Advik Reddy. Yes, Sartek, we were gonna talk about the championship, and speaking of championship, I think Big Man Joe just wanted to cut us off a little bit there.
And just not cutting us off, he's taking the fight. Advik Reddy right back at it. He's on the climb yet again. Finds himself in a rather bad race at the start with the lights not coming out on time. I'd like to assume contact between him and Advik Reddy as well there. Almost sent Advik Reddy into a spin. Thankfully, Advik Reddy was able to keep it on track. But yeah, Big Man Joe closing in real quick. And as I was saying, Dalvin, I was saying this is probably a good time to recall how the short F2 championship went. What was your best moment? Favorite moment? If you can recall any.
The feature race last week in USA, right? I think that was probably one of the best races, given that it was on full wet conditions. And surprisingly enough, everyone did well to not win it as much as we expected, given that most likely no one had practice in the wets, but the race went so incredibly well. And then the sprint race after that as well, where everyone had practice, and we expected the likes of UK, NB and KDB to probably win it, but each of them having their own misery in the race and giving opportunities away to the other drivers to step up into the podium.
And as you recall that fantastic moment, Big Man Joe did get the move done on Advik Reddy, and I believe going into turn 1 there was contact as well. Unfortunate for Advik Reddy, of course. But yeah, favorite moment for me of the F2 championship, I like to throw it back to the first race where we got to see the rookies in action with the likes of the veterans, you could say in some ways, but let's be honest, They came in here head first with, probably barely any practice for that matter. And we did see even the likes of KDB fumble in Sector 2 of Austria. Going into the right-hander especially, did see him lose his rear quite ever so often. So yeah, definitely Austria was a highlight, and probably after this race, the feature race of Baku will also be a highlight for us.
Indeed. And let's go back to the race. I think something is brewing up for P2. Envy, while we were talking, he has been catching up rather quickly to Avi in P2. And as the chat mentioned, it might be easy to catch, but to pass Avi on track might be another story. Like the great Murray Walker once said, catching is one thing, passing is another. But we can prove that wrong in Baku with that uber long back straight and some slipstream and KDB. I mean, some slipstream and DRS. You can definitely make some moves over here, even if you are significantly slow in the middle sector. And looks like Envy, knowing that the championship might not be in his hands, still trying to prove that he is a contender for the upcoming season.
And meanwhile, at the back of the pack, Big Man Joe goes up a position. Dark Legacy trails right behind him. We're up ahead. Not much to deliberate on. KDB leads this race 2 laps to go in fact. 2 laps to go. And Envy doesn't seem like he can do much to deny that championship of KDB's.
Yep.
But
in P5, Gambler pulling off a miracle on the super soft tires. 8 laps on those tires. Those tires might just be screaming for help right now, I think, but might be too late to box right now to salvage even a point. But let's hope he can take it till the end. 3 laps to go. It looks like he is slowly bringing it home here.
Probably a good time to talk about how Envy only raced for 3 out of the 5 races, if my memory serves me right. Yeah.
Yep, I think he joined in the 3rd race, right? Yep.
Yeah, he joined in the 3rd race, and to think he got up to speed so quickly with the F2 cars and gave a shot at the title as well.
Yep, and as it stands, he is P2 in the championship. So, what might have happened if he was there for the whole season?
Perhaps
we would probably be seeing an even tighter championship than today, to a point where it maybe just decided on a fastest lap kind of a difference. But sadly, we're not getting that. But we are getting a very close fight between Envy and Avi here, possibly brewing for the last lap. 2 seconds separates them.
Probably a big ask, if you ask me, unless one of the drivers, specifically Avi, might just get hit with a penalty. If not, a minor slip up or 2, that'll make him lose a second to Envy. Probably that.
Yep. Speaking of slip ups, I think KDB might have a moment here, or he's probably looking to bring it home in the last 2 laps. He has dropped about 3 to 4 seconds to Envy to Avi, and Envy is behind him. So I hope he's just slowing down to bring it home, given that he doesn't want to win the championship at this point. Yeah,
incredibly close to the wall, and I think the rear hit the wall as well in that scenario for KDB. He is exiting Sector 2 as we speak, making sure no mistakes made there. We did see him hit that wall quite often in the feature race. But yeah, in the sprint, he made it count. He's done what you'd expect him to do in Baku. Drive a fantastic race.
Indeed. And Envy, though, looks like it's not really catching up anymore to Avi in front. Perhaps a sign of just taking it easy for the last lap, bringing it home, conceding the championship fight. It might just be a sign of, a relief probably for everyone else as the last lap looms on their head into the race.
Yeah, but one more thing to divert your attention to, Dalvin. I think Gambler might just have run out of tires as a whole. He seemed to have had a spin on Sector 2, and he did reset himself. and onwards he goes. But for how much longer, we'll find out.
He seems to be okay. From the broadcast cam, it looks like he still has some tires left. As we speak of that, he hits the wall and
Yeah.
he picks up a punch on his right rear, surprisingly enough. And oh boy,
Yep.
I think he's just slightly disappointed with that.
How is he staying out?
How is he though? That's the question. But he is boxing regardless. I think he might just call it a day in the pits, maybe even.
Perhaps.
He wants to even go on for another lap. He can still try. Oh, and he just lost it in the
Yeah.
pit lane, I think. So,
Frustration defined.
well, that was a photo finish, I guess.
Yeah.
Finished the season in the championship, Schumacher style.
You're gonna have a lot of angry Schumacher fans in a matter of a few minutes, that's for sure. If not already, but we'll find out as days go by and more people watch this race that went down. But yeah, it's the final lap. KDB is entering Sector 3. BRL F2 Short Championship. When it started off, Dalvin joined the league. So that was a significant time in the league as well. A new commentator, but not a new champion, clearly, as KDB approaches the finish line. He won Bwoah Racing League Season 4. We decided Short Championship. He decided one more. And he comes across the finish line. He's champion yet again, but this time around, it's in F2 cars. Avi follows close behind. He finishes P2, gets alongside KDB in turn 1. And Envy, hats off to him, came in to the league in race number 3 and puts himself number 2 on the standings already. What he'll bring to the table in Season 5, it's to come for sure.
Yep, QRB brings up the first of the non-podium finishes in P4. Big Man Joe weaving across the straights, probably happy to get the season over. Comes home in a good recovery drive after so many incidents in P5. Dark Legacy across the line is P6. Big Ready brings it home in P7. Smoke rounding up the final sector is coming home in 8th. Most likely Mike Marquez will finish 9th. He's still in the middle sector, having some time at the Baku Castle section, perhaps meeting with the King of Azerbaijan, UK. In P10, he has crossed the finishing line, perhaps a lap down, and Gameler, who was DNF'd, he will round up the grid in P11. And what a season it has been.
Yeah, and props to Man Marquez, regardless of how much the gap extends between him and the driver close to him, he doesn't give up. This man doesn't give up. So while an audience member or maybe even the other drivers would say, he lacks pace overall, maybe, but one thing's for sure, he doesn't lack the motivation to race. And going into Season 5, it would be lovely to see him in a driver position, if not a reserve driver position at best. We could hope for great things from the likes of all the rookies: Smoke, Adwik Reddy, Dark Legacy, Cuber, and Envy, all drivers who will be entering for Season 5.
Season 5 will bring us to a new game, 2021 most likely, and it's going to be a new challenge as well. It's not the same as 2020, isn't it? I'm sure some drivers might have experienced it yesterday in the showcase event. The 2021 may not exactly be the friendliest game in terms of curbs and all the handling models. So perhaps we might just see some shake-up in the championship order, on the driver order as well. But who knows? We'll only see that once the season starts.
Yeah, and it's an F1 car, so clearly we don't know the real pace. Mind you, UK picked up the fastest lap, as it seems, but of course, basic math says otherwise, with the likes of KDB being the quickest out there. Unusual to see UK's time slapped with purple paint. Regardless, what a season it's been. It's been a pleasure commentating alongside of you, Dalvin, and going into Season 5, I'm going to enjoy it even more. Season 5, October 1st weekend, the first weekend of October. But before that, of course, we'll have driver auctions, we'll have whatnot along the way as well. To stay updated, make sure you check our Instagram. If you're new here, hit that subscribe. And just like that, we will be wrapping it up.
Take care, folks, and all the best to everyone. Let's have a good night as well. And coming up next, tonight is the real life Italian GP. And, I guess we can vote for Max for the win today as well.
Okay, first you want Schumacher fans to come your way, and now you want Lewis Hamilton fans to come your way as well, Dalvin. You're gonna have
Oh
people
no,
with
what have I
torches outside
started?
your house.
Oh no, this is not how I'm supposed to end my season.
Okay.
Oh well,
Okay.
but it's gonna be interesting race tonight, I guess. Red Bull didn't look like the best car going to the race, but I think they might be the best race car for tomorrow, for today as well. Let's hope that goes good as well for Max Verstappen, looking for his first championship.
And I'm gonna say let's leave it there before Dalvin makes up more enemies with the audience. Surprisingly enough, we hit our
Yep.
highest right now as I speak. So definitely a good time. Dalvin, cheers and cheers to everybody who stayed till the very end.
Just Artek, and